Hi, I'm Dr. Steve Jarboe.
Hi, I'm Dr. Pam Jarboe. Welcome to Life Matters. This show is about helping you to live your very best life.
Living a long life is great, but living a long life with quality is even more important.
What we know in our over 20 years of being in chiropractic practice is that your health and your energy levels affect everything you do and everyone you know. And so this show is dedicated to giving you as many tools as possible and as much knowledge as you can take in order to learn to live your best life.
And so on tonight's show, some of the things that we're going to cover are, we're going to talk about some supplements, and tonight's show is going to be about magnesium. We're also going to talk about some frequently asked questions that arise in our practice that are very helpful. If one person has a question, oftentimes it might be a question that you have. So we're going to go over some of those, as well as we're going to do a book review. And then the last thing that we're going to do is talk about our segment that we're going to call Susie's Sunshine. And it's talking about having strong support and quality of life and community and strong positive mental attitudes.
Often we get the question in our office, Doc, can you help me? My hand is going numb. And so we're going to talk about that question today.
All right.
How would you answer that?
I hear that a lot. And so I kind of throw that question back to the people. I say, well, what controls your hand? And they're like, well, my brain, I guess. I'm like, right. And your brain controls your hand by doing what? And I try to get them to figure it out and say, well, it sends signals down the arm to the hand. And those signals go through what, I say. And they say, well, my nerves. I'm like, right. So if the nerve is being pinched or pulled or twisted, or if there's any pressure on the nerve coming from out of your neck right here, going down your arm, then sometimes it can cause your hand to go numb. It can cause your hand to be hot or cold. Sometimes people say, my hand is freezing. Well, our nerves control temperature. They also control sensation. So numbness, tingling, hot and cold. Oftentimes it's because there's pressure coming from the nerves that are exiting your neck or upper back at this level. So I tell them, so let's see if there's any pressure on your nervous system here. Let's see if we need to make any corrections to remove that pressure from your spine and allow your hand to start functioning better.
Mm-hmm. And so the same question could apply to, say, your foot or your leg, right?
Absolutely. A lot of times people are like, my toes are going numb, or just my big toe is going numb. And I tell them the very same conversation. I ask them questions and get them to remember that the nerves going out of their low back go down their leg to control their toes and feet.
Right. I think so often, when you look at commercials, they show like you take a medicine and it goes to this thing right here. Like we're not used to thinking about the fact that everything is connected.
Right.
And one of the ways that everything is connected is through the nerve system.
Right.
And that's a really important thing for people to realize about how their body is functioning.
Absolutely.
One of the things I also mention sometimes is that there's 45 miles of nerves inside your body. So that's a pretty wild thing, when you think about like the commute that you have in the morning, sometimes there's more miles of nerves inside you than you travel to work every day. And so that's a lot of nerves, and so the chances of, there being impingement or blockage of those nerves can happen for sure.
Right. So one of the questions that I got this morning, I want to throw at you. Somebody said, Doc, my doctor told me I have high blood pressure. Is there anything that chiropractic can do or you can do? Because I don't want to take any medications for that.
Right. It's such a good question. And I think it's kind of interesting and unusual. I just want to reflect. When I first started working for a chiropractor, I would hear this kind of thing like, oh, this chiropractor helped me with my blood pressure. This chiropractor helped me with my kidney problems, or this chiropractor helped me with my digestion. And I kind of found that like sort of surreal, because I didn't know about chiropractic, and I just thought like, what the heck, this is like a fix-all kind of thing.
Right.
And but of course, there's much research actually that's been done about decreased blood pressure over the last 20 years. I've had patients who've come into the office and they've done a blood pressure study on their own where they took their blood pressure before getting adjusted and then after getting adjusted. Part of the reason why getting adjusted, it impacts your blood pressure is what you were just talking about before, how the messages come from your brain and go through your body to the organ or to the muscle, that we were talking about. And so if the messages are blocked going to the heart, it's going to make it harder for the heart to work. And also in another segment of the show, we talked about sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic. And the sympathetic nervous system is what speeds up the heart rate.
Right.
And the parasympathetic slows it down. So when the nervous system is not regulating, it makes it much easier for these problems to occur. So I think really what we're both saying is that symptoms are a sign. Symptoms are a red alert from the body, like something is off. And it's important for us to pay attention to it.
Right. So by taking a medication, that's just going to hide the symptoms.
Right.
But really, the messages still aren't getting to the heart the way that they should.
Exactly. So you're just masking it. You're not really getting to the cause, and you're also not getting to a real solution. And so the other thing I think about that, when I think about symptoms, whether the symptom is numbness in your hand or numbness in your foot or high blood pressure or digestive issues or whatever the symptoms are that your body's having, it's like the dashboard light coming on in your car. And you would never lift up the hood and unplug the wires and be like, okay, let's keep driving. It's all good. But that's sometimes what we're doing with our bodies. We're just trying to push and get away with as much as we can, rather than really listening. What's the cause, and how do I help the body to function at a higher level? It's one of the things I really love about what happens in our office is that people are always looking at functioning at a higher level. And that's what we focus on. I love that.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
So if you have a question that you'd like to have us to answer, you can send us an email to drpamjarbo@gmail.com, and that will appear on the screen, and we will try and get to your questions. In our office, we do a series of checks or analyses on our patients' nervous systems in order to determine if there are blockages or subluxations. And sometimes patients will ask us, how did this happen? How did my spine get this blockage in it? And I will often try to teach people about these blockages by talking about the electricity in your house. So if you exceed the demand of what your electricity system can do, you blow a fuse. And so it's similar in the body. If your body has a stimulus that it can't adapt to, then your nervous system will blow a fuse and create a blockage. And it's like a glitch in the nerve system. And so glitches can happen because of not being able to adapt to a physical stress, like lifting something really heavy or having a car accident or sleeping in a weird position. So they could be a macro trauma or a micro trauma. It could happen because of the loss of a loved one or a really stressful move or a divorce, or it could happen just from day-to-day wear and tear, worry, stress. Those are examples of macro traumas and micro traumas. And then it can also happen from a lack of adaptability to different chemical stress. And so we can cover different examples, over the course of the show. But today I wanted to focus about emotional stress, because if there's a lot of stress and your body is not able to adapt to it, you have two choices. One, to decrease the stress. And so for most of us, mentally that would involve moving to an island somewhere remotely and drinking from a coconut for the rest of our lives. Or it involves decreasing the stressful situation that you're in right now, or increasing your adaptability to it. So one of the ways you can increase your adaptability is by having your nervous system blockages removed. You will be able to deal with life's pressures more effectively. And also, it's nice to have tools on how to deal with life's pressures, in addition to having those blockages removed. And so I just wanted to share with you one of the tools that we use. And so when I think about like your electrical energy, let's just pretend, for example, you have 40 gallons of gas today to get through this day. And you have a ton of stuff to do, and you're really worried about all the stuff that you have to do. Thinking about all the stuff that you have to do and talking about all the stuff that you have to do is actually wasting gallons of gas. And so if you would just do it and not stress out about it, it would actually save you energy. And so one of the little tools that we offer to our patients, because I'll hear people talk about, I'll never get all my work done, or, my child will never graduate high school. And I just stop them in that track that they're going on, because the more they think that thought, the tighter and tighter their nervous system is getting, and they're actually creating a problem. And so I ask a really simple question before they continue to awfulize the situation. I make that a word, that we awfulize things. And my really simple tool is that really true? Is that phrase that you're saying over and over and over and over and over, is it really true? Will you really never ever get all your work done? Will your child really, really never graduate from high school? All these awfulizing statements that we make are actually costing our physiology. And one of the ways that we can stop that process, or at least reduce the amount of harm we're putting onto our system, is to ask a simple question. And that is it really true? And if it's not really true, it's really important to correct your language so that your body doesn't keep going along for the ride that isn't really a great ride. And this message has been brought to you by Dr. Susie Sunshine. Have a great day.
Hi, today we're going to talk about magnesium. Magnesium is a mineral that is used in the body, and it's used by every single organ in our body. Research studies show, however, that up to 80% of Americans are deficient in this really, really important mineral. And so magnesium is used by the heart, it's used by your teeth, it's used by your bones, really important in the use of your kidneys. And when we don't have enough magnesium, if we're deficient, it can cause all sorts of health problems with our body, anywhere from asthma, anxiety, muscle twitches. It can cause heart problems, problems with your teeth. So one of the supplements or minerals that we use in our office and suggest to a lot of our patients is called Calm. This is it's a magnesium citrate, and you add it to water and it makes a little fizzy drink, and it helps boost the magnesium levels in your body. And it's so important because not only is it a muscle relaxant, because a lot of people have really tense muscles or twitches or spasms, but it's also a really important relaxant for the nervous system. And that's what we focus on in our office, is the nervous system. And so if we want our brain to effectively communicate with our body and control all those organs, then one of the things that's helpful is having a good chemistry balance in our body. And magnesium is so important in balancing the nervous system, calming the nervous system down, so that our body isn't like going into spasm. So the muscles spasm, but the nerves can also go into spasm. So oftentimes magnesium is used for people who have heart issues, if people have seizures, convulsions. It's also helpful for alcoholics who have tremors and shakes, because it helps calm the muscles down and it helps calm the nervous system down. So it's a really, really important thing. Now, naturally, if you don't take it in supplements, naturally it's found in green leafy vegetables. A lot of things that are good for our bodies are in green leafy vegetables. That's why it's on the planet Earth. God gave us these things for us to use. And unfortunately, most people don't like or eat enough green leafy vegetables. So kale, seaweeds. It's also found in avocados, which a lot of people like, pumpkin seeds, some nuts. So there's other ways to get it if you don't like taking it in supplementation. If you have enough green leafy vegetables, it's a good way to supplement that mineral into your body. So that's our Mineral in a Minute from Dr. Steve today.
This is our book geek moment. I'm a super book geek. Books are some of my best friends over the years in my life, and I love reading in order to find out more about how to improve my health. But I notice that as the years go on with my family development, I am not able to read as much, and so I want to share book segments with you to help you to get the information and save you time. So today's book is called Chicken Soup for the Chiropractic Soul. And this is a great resource if you have never been to a chiropractor before. It's a really lighthearted, wonderful read that tells you about what to expect when you go to a chiropractor, how chiropractors differ from medical doctors in the way that they approach patient care. And it also gives you great stories, like from young kids all the way up to elderly people. There's a war veteran in here, a beautiful story about him, someone who was a professional baseball player, another person who got chiropractic care and it helped them to run the Boston Marathon, and another story about an Olympic gold athlete. One of the stories in the book is about a patient named Rob, and Rob had debilitating headaches, and he had gone to many different medical doctors. They had given him medication, and it had gone on for years, and it was so debilitating that he would have to go into a dark room for days. He would vomit, he was just in agonizing pain, and really nothing was working. And he met a chiropractor who told him that he thought that he would be able to help him, and that he didn't know for sure whether or not he could help him, but that it was worth Rob having an analysis done to see whether or not there was any interference or blockage in the nervous system, which the chiropractors refer to as subluxation. And so Rob had x-rays done, and what was found was that the first bone in his neck, his atlas vertebra, was rotated to an extreme degree. And the chiropractor was actually alarmed at how out of alignment that vertebra was, because the brainstem is located right below that area. And so it has a huge effect on the brain's ability to communicate with the body. And so Rob got adjusted, he stopped having headaches, and it changed his life. He became engaged, he became able to live again. And so it was a really transformational story. And there are other stories in here. This book is filled with stories like about babies who were not functioning and nothing could be figured out. They tried all these tests, nothing worked. And so it's a really inspirational story for people who are trying to perform at their highest level, but also people who are really struggling with different illnesses and how they found help. This series of books came from Mark Victor Hansen and his friend Jack Canfield, and they have a whole bunch of them, like Chicken Soup for the Soul, for moms, for dads, for families, for teens. So they have a whole bunch of series, and this, of course, is one of my favorites because it's about chiropractic and it's really easy to read. And so next time, I'll be presenting on a book called How to Raise Healthy Children in Spite of Your Doctor by Dr. Mendelsohn, and I'll look forward to sharing that with you. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Life Matters. We hope that you found it helpful.
Every episode, we're going to cover a few aspects of the 6 pillars of health. There are 6 basic pillars of health that everybody needs to have that quality of life that we were talking about. And they are having proper sleep, proper exercise, plenty of good water, good nutrition, positive mental attitudes, and above all, a proper nerve supply.
And we emphasize proper nerve supply because that is our specialty. In our office, we remove blockages to the nerve system through a series of special tests